The Battle of Fort Washington was a significant engagement in the American Revolutionary War, fought on November 16, 1776. Here are the details. After the Battle of White Plains, the British, under General William Howe, sought to capture Fort Washington on Manhattan Island to secure control over New York and the Hudson River. Strategic importance. Fort Washington, along with Fort Lee across the Hudson in New Jersey, was critical for controlling the river and preventing British ships from moving up or down it, thereby isolating New England from the southern colonies. The fort location. At the northern tip of Manhattan, overlooking the Hudson River and Harlem River. Defenses. The fort was a star-shaped earthwork fortification, but it had several weaknesses, including insufficient manpower to man all its defenses effectively and a lack of adequate artillery. Forces involved: American, around 3,000 soldiers commanded by Colonel Robert Magor. General Nathaniel Greene was the overall commander of American forces in the area, but was not present during the battle. British and Hessians, approximately 8,000 troops, including British regulars, Hessians, and Loyalists. The attack was led by General Howe, with Hessian General Wilhelm von Knyphausen directly commanding the assault. The battle, initial British strategy. The British planned a multi-pronged attack, with forces approaching from the north, east, and south to surround the fort. Assault from the north. Hessian Jaegers and Grenadiers, led by Knyphausen, attacked through Harlem Heights, pushing back American pickets and advancing towards the fort. From the east, British troops under Lord Percy assaulted American positions along the Harlem River, capturing key points like Laurel Hill. From the south, another British force moved up from the south, cutting off the fort from reinforcements or escape. Defense. The Americans, although initially successful in repelling some attacks, were overwhelmed by the coordinated assault. The British and Hessians used artillery effectively, and their superior numbers allowed them to outflank and outmaneuver the defenders. Surrender. After several hours of fighting, with British and Hessian forces gaining control of key positions and surrounding the fort, Colonel Magor decided to surrender to avoid further loss of life. The terms of surrender were relatively generous, allowing the Americans to keep their personal belongings. Casualties and aftermath. American losses: approximately 53 killed, 96 wounded, and 2,837 captured. This was one of the largest surrenders of American troops during the war. British Hessian losses: around 84 killed, including 74 Hessians, and 374 wounded. Significance: British victory. The capture of Fort Washington gave the British unchallenged control over New York City and the lower Hudson River, bolstering their supply lines and strategic position. American morale. The loss was a significant blow to American morale, especially coming on the heels of other defeats. It led to the evacuation of Fort Lee across the river and a general retreat through New Jersey. Prisoners. The large number of American prisoners taken created logistical issues for the British, who struggled to accommodate and feed them, leading to harsh conditions in various prisons, particularly on prison ships in New York Harbor. Washington's decision. General Washington was criticized for not evacuating Fort Washington earlier, but the battle underscored the challenges of command and the need for better intelligence and fortification strategies. This battle significantly impacted the early stages of the Revolutionary War, forcing the Continental Army into a strategic retreat, but setting the stage for Washington's later successes with more mobile guerrilla warfare tactics. Here's a 5-question quiz based on the text about the Battle of Fort Washington. Question 1. What was the primary reason General William Howe targeted Fort Washington after the Battle of White Plains? A. To secure control over the Hudson River. B. To capture General Nathaniel Greene. C. To expand British territory into New Jersey. D. To end the Revolutionary War quickly. Question 2. Which statement best describes the defenses of Fort Washington? A. Fort Washington was an impenetrable fortress with no weaknesses. B. The fort was well manned and had sufficient artillery. C. It was a star-shaped fortification but lacked enough soldiers and adequate artillery. D. The fort was located in the southern tip of Manhattan. Question 3. Who led the Hessian forces during the assault on Fort Washington? A. Lord Percy. B. General Nathaniel Greene. C. Wilhelm von Knyphausen. D. Colonel Robert Magor. Question 4. What was the outcome for the American troops at Fort Washington after the battle? A. They managed to escape across the Hudson to Fort Lee. B. They were all killed in action. C. They surrendered with a significant number being captured. D. They counterattacked and regained control of the fort. Question 5. How did the Battle of Fort Washington affect the broader strategy of the Continental Army? A. It led to an immediate increase in American troop numbers. B. It forced the Continental Army into a strategic retreat, influencing later guerrilla tactics. C. It resulted in the British abandoning New York City. D. It had no significant strategic impact on the war.